For my project today, I took the theme of hearts very literally. And I love your technique of the look of embossing with the Aleene's tacky glue.
But I always try and find the most narrowest little line that I can do and outline and do it. And I love what you did. You just went bold.
Yeah, because hand me the bottle. It's like, forget those little lines. We're going to squeeze this on. But what I do is I use the Aleene's original tacky glue and apply it onto a hard surface to create a textured look. Here you go. To create the look of embossing or texture, I am using Aleene's original tacky glue. My first step is creating my heart pattern, and you can just take a piece of cardboard, or this was a business card that I folded in half and I cut to the size that I knew would fit in my frame. And this is just a wood frame. You want to be sure and use a hard surface with this technique, and then just trace around so that you have a pattern line to follow. So continue to trace your design wherever you want it on your frame. The next step is to take your Aleene's tacky glue and just squeeze it right from the bottle. So this technique is similar to what Eco Heidi does with her embossing, but she puts a piece of tape over the end of the bottle because she wants a very thin line. I want my line to be very thick and gooey. So I just squeeze right out of the bottle. Then you start filling in. So give a good squeeze, but don't fill in all the way. Just zigzag back and forth. And then that's all there is to it. So you're going to keep applying your Aleene's tacky glue wherever you want to have a raised or textured effect. You're going to let this dry overnight till it's completely clear. So this is what you want it to look like. This, of course, is where I've just applied the glue. This is completely clear, but it has a raised surface to it. So when the Aleene's tacky glue dries, it's going to look like this. Be sure you let it dry completely overnight, and then you are ready to spray over the entire surface of your frame. And I just use a flat white spray paint to spray paint over the entire surface. This was kind of interesting. This particular bottle actually started to spatter over my surface, and so we're going to get a little bit different effect than my finished example, but down here you can see it's very smooth. That's really what you want when you apply the spray paint, but we have a bit of a spattered effect here. You do want to be sure that the spray paint is completely dry before you start chalking. And this is blending chalk or craft chalk that you find at the craft store. And the way that you apply this chalk in this technique is just to use cotton swabs. Now I like to use a different swab for each color. It just keeps the colors more pure. So be sure that you have plenty of cotton swabs for all of your colors. You just pick up the color. Once you've used your cotton swab a couple times, it starts to come off a little bit, so I just press it back in place. So rub in the middle of the chalk to pick up the color. And then you just start rubbing over the heart, the raised area. I like to keep the color just on the heart. So you have to be a little bit careful in trying to keep within the line. I'm going to change colors here. Go ahead and get a little bit of orange while I have my chalk ready. Now this is where you can blend them a little bit, where the two colors meet. Just blend. And once you've applied all the color that you want, then you just blow the extra chalk away. You can also come in with a clean cotton swab and just wipe away the excess. So this is the heart that had a very spattered, textured finish to it. Let me also show you how it goes on the smooth heart here. Add more color if you want a little bit more intensity. Just go back and pick up a little bit more chalk. Add more color, rub it a little bit harder. This chalk gives the color effect of sherbet. This chalk, the colors really hold nicely. So what's happening is you're rubbing that chalk into the surface of the flat spray paint. Blow off the extra. Use your cotton swab if you need to remove any from the outside edge. Sometimes I do get some extra color that I don't want on the outside edge. So what I do is I take a little bit of alcohol and I just rub it along the outside edge to try and pick up that chalk. But because you have this spray paint over the entire surface, I do want to give you a heads up that that chalk will stick any place where you have that spray. So if you don't want color outside this heart, be careful when you're applying the color. You can leave this like this with just this matte finish, or you can use the Aleene's spray gloss finish. It gives it a very beautiful, shiny finish. So once again, that's the Aleene's Final Step Spray Acrylic Sealer in the gloss finish. I would test to make sure that your chalk, whatever brand of chalk that you're using, works well with the sealer. I have had in some instances where the chalk will run a little bit and you don't want that to happen. So if you'd like to, you can leave it like this or you can seal it. The other frame that I wanted to show, exact same technique, but you get a completely different effect if you paint it black and then antique it with just some gold acrylic paint or gold rub and buff. So you can create this design, this heart design, in many different colors. So Heidi, as you can see, what I love about this technique is you can have a very feminine look with sherbet, like ice cream sherbet colors, right? Does that make you hungry?
Well, you know what I like about it? I look at it and I'm like, you design differently than I, and I love it too because it reminds me when I look at it that it's so simple. I always go all over the whole frame, and I don't need to. Mm-hmm. You know, I like that you remind me.
I like the shortcuts. All you need are just 3 on this side, Heidi.
And I usually, and I'm thinking that way too. It's like, oh, I could just go here, and it's funny too because I could go here and here, but then my part of me wants to go down.
And you know what? Sometimes I tell you that it's like you don't have to overdo it. Yeah. But that's just my brain.
And it's so cool to see that your brain at work because you do things so simple, and I don't always do things simple. I mean, usually my techniques are simple, but my designs I tend to just go more and more.
How did that happen? How did we both grow up in the same family and have that happen?
I didn't tell you were adopted.
Oh, there we go. I think I need to drink my tea.
Did you notice how much she's talking anyway? Can't stop talking.
I know. Yeah, the throat's feeling much better. So in addition to the very feminine look, of course you can go with a more masculine.
I don't even consider that really masculine. I just consider it just, it's so cool to see the two different ones too.
I don't know if your guy's going to put that on his desk, but your guy's going to put that on a desk, or if you, I don't know, have a setting.
If you have, I mean, it's totally different in different settings. It's really cool.
Right. I just think the manly man picture looks better in this than it doesn't in this. So anyway, that's.
And thank you for taking the time to do 2 of them to show us that.
You know what? That's what's so cool about this technique. It takes no time at all because you're just squeezing that glue out. The time is letting it dry overnight.
Right.
So
Till it's clear.